Hi, I'm Mark Zipp at Crocker Farm Auction. I'm going to discuss a great example of West Virginia stoneware that will be selling in our October 28th auction. This jar falls in the great category of people pot or people crock that people love so much from the Western Pennsylvania and West Virginia stoneware tradition. This piece was made at the Thompson Pottery in Morgantown, West Virginia, sometime probably about 1860 to 1865. You can see that it follows the standard pattern that the Thompson pottery has become so well known for, as well as a few nearby Western Pennsylvania potteries, which is creating a human decoration with brushed cobalt in a silhouette. You can see we have this great male figure here with a hat. He's got kind of a little curl or loop to the brim of his hat at the end. He's holding this giant spear or pike in kind of a defensive posture. He's brushed atop a stylized ground. This is very typical of Morgantown and Uniontown and Connellsville, stoneware from Western Pennsylvania that was made in the Morgantown style. With this simply brushed ground, and then this figure of a woman here, probably one of the most iconic motifs from Morgantown and Western Pennsylvania. When they did people, these woman designs that are composed of a circular head, and then a rounded chest, and then a long rounded dress, very typical of that region. So when we were consigned this piece, we were very excited because, of course, it's a people crock, and they're very desirable, and it's a very exciting thing every time a new example surfaces. However, we were perplexed by the pike or the spear coming out of the man's hands. Normally, you'll see something like a rifle. A lot of times, the figures almost seem like they're related to very, very early American pilgrim culture. In other ways, they seem to have Civil War references. There's a few that have a woman holding a flag or a man holding a flag. There's an iconic people pot in the Mariner Gallery at Mesda that has, it was made by John Greenland in Connellsville, and it has what appears to be a Civil War militia going around it with a band, and figures with carrying rifles, another with a drum. And so, as I thought about this, I thought about the fact that pikes were actually used in the Civil War, that this archaic form of hand-to-hand combat actually took place in some cases in the Civil War, and that there were advertisements in the Union wanting lancers. There was a famous group of what they referred to as lancers in Pennsylvania that emerged during the Civil War. There were a number in Georgia and throughout the South, different groups that had 9-foot long poles with pikes or spearheads on the ends of the tips. Several were ordered down south, and they were ordered by the governor of Georgia, John Brown. They're actually referred to as John Brown pikes. I mean, he ordered thousands of them. So once we thought about that idea, we realized this is a Civil War soldier holding a pike. And so it probably has some sort of significance to that area. Maybe some of the Thompson potters were familiar with lancers during the Civil War. Maybe some of their people crocks that were depicted with guns, and those were Civil War soldiers. They tried to mix it up a little bit, and they just decided to show one with a pike. At any rate, it's an exceptionally rare figural motif. This is the only example we've seen holding this kind of weapon. And not only that, the inclusion of a woman in the design, or perhaps a child, is really interesting. And you can see she's very small against this large male figure, and there's possibly some sort of distance conveyed here, that they're trying to say this is a mother or a wife in the distance wishing her husband or son off to war. It could also have something to do with the defense of a woman, or the defense maybe of a child, as it is so small. At any rate, the inclusion of two different people on this pot really sets it off as something truly remarkable. And of course, the form is very outstanding. Normally, people crocks are cylinders. This example has a really pleasant ovoid form. It has a nicely done semi-rounded rim that's flattened on top, two tooled lines around the shoulder. Occasionally you can find people pots of this nice 1 gallon size, but most of them are larger. And as I said, most of them are more rectilinear in shape. They're usually cylinders, and once they hit about 3 gallons in size, they start having applied handles. So this size and form is unusual for people crocks. We're very excited to offer this in our upcoming sale. West Virginia Stoneware, this quality really doesn't come to market very often. The condition is excellent as well, and we are happy to bring an exciting, historically significant piece to you for October 28th auction.